All right, so welcome back to Solomon's Crown. You got your boy Pop over here, and you
What's
got
up?
your boy Willie Man here. And today we might have a lot to talk about because I guess it's summer walker season, so you already know what it's about to be. But like, it
Yeah.
just got us thinking about the whole stigma behind uh, the situations that women and men are putting themselves in. Like she's
Mm-hmm.
got a baby's daddy, she had a kid, and the baby daddy is typical baby daddy. Like when you get called a baby daddy, you already know. Like most likely
Yeah.
you ain't shit. At
Yeah.
least in the black community. But the thing about it is I guess she was blasting him on Instagram and things like that, but it's just like, why is it getting to this situation? And then like she's putting out music talking about like all these problems that she's having with him, and just like I listened to a little bit of it, and it's just like, why? Like, and the thing is like
Yeah.
women love hearing about it. Like you've seen on TikTok where dudes like
Mhm.
posted like, oh, it's summer walker season, so you know you just about to be messing up for no reason. Like, man ain't
Oh
this,
my
man ain't
God.
that, and it's
Ain't
just
that?
like,
Yeah.
it's like, bro, like what? Like all men are being generalized because like
As usual.
these women are choosing horrible baby fathers, and expecting them to change just because they got a baby. And then even on the men's side of like accountability, like London on the track already had two babies mamas in general. He's got three kids now. He's got four. Adding Summer Walker to the list of things, and it's just like this has just become a rampant problem in like the black community in
Yeah,
general.
it's really bad, really bad. It's just one of those things. I mean, my personal feelings on it is at the end of the day, they're both at fault. And the child is innocent. And I'm more red pill, I've become more conservative as I've grown older. And I think the nuclear family is essential just to kind of having a stable like person, a stable child, having a stable parent, having a stable society and a community. And I think in the black community, that's what's missing. So on the woman's side, right, with Summer Walker, why is it that women, especially women of her fame and the platform, can say that men ain't shit, but you weren't saying that when you were sleeping with London on the track, right? Because obviously she must have had some inkling, or she must have outright knew that he had four other baby mamas or three other baby mamas. Why
Mm.
did you sleep with that guy? Because you know he wasn't gonna be there for you, not necessarily be there for you, but you know he's gonna
In the time being,
be
she
this.
probably did.
Yeah, he's gonna be in that type of in that type of situation. And it's like, why is it that women consistently play around with these bad boys, then when they get pregnant by the said bad boy, or they're like, hitting 30, they run and say, oh, where are the good men at, slash, oh, men ain't shit. And I don't get that logic. And then on the men's side, right, kind of to go a little bit off topic, but it's kind of on the same topic,
Mm.
whether it be the guy that Pookie and Ray Ray down the street, or some of these newer entertainers, these Facebook comedians, entertainers such as Nick Cannon, Country Wayne. Like, these guys have a whole harem of baby mamas, and I get it.
Future,
Uh,
like
yeah, and Future, you can't forget the toxic King Future. But these guys have really notorious reputations of having a harem of baby mamas. And it's like, granted, yes, these guys have money, they can take care of their kids, they can take care of their responsibilities, fine. But when has it become normalized? Why has it become normalized for us as black men to just have a bunch of baby mamas? Like, how is that conducive to a stable family and a stable community? Because obviously it's not.
oh yeah, because the thing
Obviously
is,
something is wrong. Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
because the thing is like even though like it's fine if a woman decides like, oh, I just want to have a kid and like all these things, or a man just decides like, oh, I'm gonna give this chick a baby. It's the long-term effects that affect children. And I mean, we've seen it firsthand, like growing up in single parent
Yeah.
homes, where it's just kind
Yes.
of like, I was talking to somebody where I was just kind of like, you look at movies or even just people who have their fathers leave them legacies, kind of like
Hmm.
to like, they kind of teach them lessons through life. And by the time they reach like 24, 25, they kind of have a lot of things figured out because their fathers before them left them a legacy and also instilled like these morals and values to get them to a point where they're not making the same mistakes that they're making. And
Exactly. Yeah.
then you have us who grew up with single parents, no father figure, and we're trying to build a legacy, and we kind of have to do a lot more trial and error when it comes to like the wrongs and rights in life and what we could have done differently. And truthfully, it sets us back a lot. And in our community, like that's just kind of something that's just become a problem. Like, and truthfully, it's kind of just getting old because it's like
It is.
we are our own worst enemies, and everybody's just kind of like, oh, it's crabs in the barrel, it's crabs in the barrel, it's crabs in the barrel. Like, but
Yeah.
why do we need to keep feeding into the stigma?
Exactly. Even today, guys, even today, one of the comment section, we got, someone talking, for lack of better words, smack about us, as black people. And it's just, I get it. At the end of the day, we're individuals, but unfortunately, a lot of people, a lot of other groups around the world, when they see us, whether we're African, in the Caribbean, Black American, whether we grew up in California or in Texas or whatever, they see our skin color and they'll be like, "Oh, so you're those people. You act this way. You're supposed to act this way. You're supposed to do this certain thing." And when you constantly see people like, Nick Cannon and all those other guys who have the limelight and they're doing stuff like this, how, like, what do you expect people to think, right? Because the human instinct is to first see, like, oh, perception, right? If we're perceived that way, then it's gonna have people's mindset think of us that way. We got to do better, man. We got to do better.
Yeah, and it goes back to when you were talking about I think you said they were YouTubers, but they went to a foreign country. And I mean, what, he was like 30, 32, something like
Yeah.
that. And the chick was like, well, how many babies mamas do you have? And it's just like, why is this a question that's being asked? Like,
Exactly. Yeah, he's
nobody
trying
could be
to.
like a single black man who doesn't have drama, who doesn't have all these things going on. And both of them were single, and they're just kind of like, we're single, we travel. Like, like they don't have any drama in their lives. They're just living their lives, and it's already a stigma behind them. It's like, oh, black man,
Yeah,
like, oh yeah, how many babies mamas you got? This, and that.
exactly. Even so much so that I've heard many times where people would go to places, like men would go into places, successful men who are single, they're doing their thing, they're traveling, they're getting paid, they're enjoying life, and they'll go out to meet a woman and they'll be like, "How old are you?" "Oh, I'm 35. How many kids you got?" "I don't have any kids." "Oh, so why you don't got any kids?"
Yeah, why are
"Because
you
I don't
lying?
want any."
Like,
"Why are you lying? Like, are you alternative lifestyle?" It's like, no, like I'm telling you, it's horrible.
yeah,
It's horrible for a dude trying to, especially a black man trying to do his own thing and get his life together.
and
But
then,
those type of dudes are they're under the radar. But
oh yeah,
dudes like this, they're glorified. It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
and we can kind of segue into like what we were talking about this morning, where it's like, uh, not most, I'm not even gonna say most, I'm gonna say modern women are going after these bad boys. Like, we saw a video where it was just like they asked a couple women, uh like, what type of man do you go after? And it was like a bad boy or a schemer, drug dealer, or like a 9 to 5. And a lot of the women were like, oh yeah, I need a schemer, I need a drug dealer, this and that. I mean, of course, it's uh I mean, mostly black women, to be honest, like ghetto black women. And that's the thing, is like a dude who's like working a 9 to 5, like kind of staying to himself, like he has his hobbies, he has a small group that he hangs out with. It's just like getting dogged out and not being treated right. And then these women are just like, oh, he's boring, he's this, he's that. And they make all these excuses why they can't be with a nice guy. And then it turns into like, well, I should have just went after the nice guy because now I got two different babies' daddies, and
Yeah,
both these dudes aren't doing anything for their kids, and I want a man now to take care of my kids as a stepfather and show them respect, show me respect, and do all these things. And it goes back to what I was saying this morning, where it's like, yo, there's more stepdads out here than actual fathers. Like, that's what it
yeah,
feels like at
it's
times.
kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy, and it's like I think now with social media, red pill content being out there, teaching men like how to operate with women, how to focus on purpose and whatever. Like a lot of these dudes are not with it. A
No,
lot of these dudes are not with it, and it's just man, social media is a. I mean, we're on social media right now, but
yeah,
it's
it's
something else,
real.
man.
But that's the
Because
thing too, is like
yeah,
my homeboys, like, and the thing is like, even like my group of dudes who like I like confide in, like who they confide in me and things like that, like they're not even close to being as bad as a lot of these dudes that these females are messing with. And the thing is like I have a couple. I mean, most of my homeboys are honest. Like if they're talking to you and they're just like, "Yo, I'm just talking to you for the time being until something happens." Uh, I mean, women are still talking to them, but then of course it comes to a point where it's like, "Oh, I want more than this. I want more than that." And it's just kind of like,
mhm,
well, I already initially told you like what I wanted, and now that you're catching feelings, like, or even not even catching feelings, but you're asking for more. And it's like I said that in the beginning I didn't want anything more than this, and now to change up like that is just kind of like they just be like, yo, I'm done with you, like, because it's not even worth their time, like, especially because it's just like, okay, you want me to trust you, this and that, and what does it end up being like? It's just, I mean, I don't think the dudes that I talk to are even that bad. Like, they just don't want to mess with women who aren't going to bring anything to the table, essentially. And that was the thing too that was going into that women will be like, oh, I bring this and that to the table. I bring, like, one woman was talking about like, oh, if I have a dude, like, he has to compliment me, but what I'm bringing to the table is like, I can be your investor. I'm bringing myself to the table, this and that. And it's like, yo, what is that? When most
yeah,
men
exactly.
can literally pay for a maid,
Hmm.
they can essentially, like, they don't have to even pay for sex, to be honest. Like, just being a successful man in general,
Yeah,
sex
they can
will,
get it.
yeah, like sex will generally come, especially if you just walk up. I mean, you've seen the videos with the gold diggers where it's like, oh, I drive a Ferrari, I drive a BMW, things like that. So that's not even the
Mm,
problem. So it's like, oh, you're talking about like, oh, I provide sex. And it's like, okay, cool, whatever. Cook, you can hire a chef. So it's like women are talking about, oh, I bring this, and that to the table. But then in all reality, a successful man doesn't need all those things. Like, what a successful man needs is a woman who is going to support him in anything he does, regardless if it's telling him like, yo, you're doing this wrong or you should do it that way, but also giving facts behind the reason and also coming up with a new plan to make this plan succeed. And then just,
and peace of mind.
yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, there shouldn't be any questions, no doubts when it comes to like your loyalties and what you're doing, and you should always be growing. And a big thing that I've seen is women will be like, "Oh, I bring all this to the table," and then you try to elevate them or hold them accountable for their actions or hold them accountable for what they said they would be providing, and they're kind of just like, "Oh, you want me to go to school? You want me to grow? You want me to do this, and that? You're trying to change me, like." You're trying to do this, and that. And it's like, men are simple. Like, truthfully, like,
Yeah,
if you got a chick with
it's
you
super
who's
simple.
gonna ride with you and just do the things that, like, actually get to know you, like as far as like your hobbies, actually show interest and not just be like, oh, I'm just doing this so that he feels like I care, this and that. Like, is relationships have become really difficult at this point, that most men,
Yeah,
even the dudes that I talk to, don't want to be in relationships because it's just like, what's the point? Like, um,
that's what I'm saying. It's like relationships are like especially marriage, is dead at this point, man.
Yeah.
Especially in the Western world,
Oh
it's dead, man, because social media brings instant gratification. For women, like, sex is super easy. Like, they just exist, especially if they're good looking. Like, I've heard this quote. I don't remember, it's by Fresh and Fit, the podcast. Shout out to them. But it's pretty much just saying that the world of a beautiful woman is almost unimaginable,
yeah.
right? Just imagine like how many doors open for a beautiful woman, like the access to men, resources, all this other stuff. And then it's like you're in a economy now where inflation is up. Everyone has to work harder for the same amount of money 50 years ago. Men, the men that are on the top, they're pretty much the ones that are getting all the females. Most modern women in America or in the West, especially in the big urban cities, they're looking for men that are like 6 foot, fit, six figures, and all this stuff. And it's like those are literally the 10% of men, like the top tier men.
Yeah.
And they want those dudes to be faithful to them. And it's like when you're on a Drake level, when you're on like a doctor in Silicon Valley level,
Yeah.
like you're not gonna settle. Like, because now you have all the options, now you have all the leverage. Women are coming to you, and it's like a lot of these women don't understand that. And then a lot of these women, they'll look at a dude, a truck driver who's making good money, or a regular 9 to 5 dude, and they're invisible, right?
Oh, yeah.
Invisible to them. So exactly why, like, a lot of dudes now, they're like, screw it. I'm just gonna do my hobbies. I'm gonna work on myself, and I'm just not gonna get married. Or they go to different countries and get married with more conservative women.
Yeah.
So that's where I think the future is heading for this.
Yeah. And
But
that's the thing
this,
too.
yeah,
Oh,
okay, go ahead.
No, 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 go ahead.
No, so this, I think, so in my opinion, the dysfunction that's going on all stems back to not having dads in the home, because I believe it's the father that's the one that, as the child gets into the teenage years, whether it's a female or a male, they're the ones that kind of guide them into being productive and stable members of society, functional members of society. Granted, obviously there are some situations where father is there and stuff happens, but for the most part, obviously there's some sort of correlation with the rising single mother households and what's going on in society. But that's just my opinion on it. But go ahead, Will.
Yeah, and geez, I lost my train of thought. But so there's another thing where it's like successful women don't date broke men, essentially.
No, they don't.
And a lot of men date broke women, like, period. Like, dudes will go date a girl who literally is like not doing
The McDonald's.
like,
Yeah.
like they'll date down all the time. And a lot of women try to date up or equally, but like you were saying, it was like women are becoming more, I guess, not masculine, but like aggressive in their lifestyle changes, as far as like career wise and everything like that. Like, everything's becoming equal rights. And that's the thing, is like you were saying, is like, so you have two successful CEOs, like a woman, like I'll let you explain it, because you explained it a lot better than me, like when you're talking about like women becoming CEOs and how their lifestyles.
All right. So once again, shout out to Fresh and Fit podcast. They're pretty much a big part of the red pill, male space of YouTube. So they really go on so basically, for those of you who don't know, it's pretty much a podcast where they're located in Miami, and they pretty much bring a lot of different women on, and they pretty much talk to them about the male side of relationships and society and things, and they pretty much get feedback and whatnot. But basically, one of the arguments that comes up is that females now, or women now, they can be CEOs, they can be anything that a man can do. And that's awesome, because there's a lot of women that have contributed immensely to the progress of the human race, for sure. But long story short, they pretty much diced it up to kind of biology. So at the end of the day, women want men who are superior to them. According to Fresh and Fit, they want men who are superior to them. So, and another section of that is that when it comes on to CEOs, CEOs have to have a certain sort of mind, a certain mindset, and a certain psychology to be successful. Because you can imagine, like the Jeff Bezos of the world, the Bill Gates of the world, those guys have to have a certain mindset, a very masculine, unagreeableness, competitive, damn near cutthroat,
Yeah,
to be that
narcissism,
successful.
like you said in our
Yeah.
previous talks.
And then for women now who are in the same CEO positions, sometimes they gotta double down on those same masculine traits. So first of all, if you're a CEO, if you're a female CEO making over $100,000 or more, how many men are gonna be on your level? Because you're definitely not going to look at a janitor. You're not going to look at a garbage collector, a person working at McDonald's. How many people are going to be how much men are going to be at your level? And those few men that are on your level, are they even looking at you? Because you got to look. Most of those female CEOs are older, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Especially most men who are successful, they want younger women, right? Because Fresh and Fit have the saying, whereas men get older, their value goes up and doors open. As women grow older, doors close, right? So it's kind of one of those things where, okay, as a woman, unfortunately, it doesn't matter. Like, to a successful man, it doesn't matter how much money you make, because for a man, pretty much your looks is the first thing he looks at, your physical looks, and then how feminine you are, like how agreeable you are, how loving, how supportive, how kind. Can can you support him? So that's one aspect. So he wants to take care of you, because men are, I think, biologically programmed to provide and protect you, and women are biologically programmed to look for someone who can provide and protect them, right? They can be safe, right? So you got that aspect. And then it's like a byproduct, again, when it goes back to women having to be doubly assertive, doubly aggressive in being in that CEO position. How many men are going to deal with a woman like that at home? They come home from work battling, doing what they do outside, and they come home and then they have to battle again with their wife, their CEO wife. Like, nah,
Yeah.
they're
And
not
that's the
going to deal
thing
with that.
too, is like it goes back into women think more emotionally, or women are more emotionally driven and in their decision making and things like that, and men are more logically thinking in their decision making. And that's not even like, and not all, like at a gene level,
About
DNA
a
level,
biological standpoint, yeah,
exactly, like that's just naturally how it is. Like, men are hunter gatherers, like that's been generationally programmed into our system, regardless of how society is changing. And for most dominant men, or like what is the word that
quote unquote alpha male,
alpha males, like people, like dudes who are just like, well, this is what I want, and they know what they want, it's kind of hard to deal with that. And the thing is like, women are starting to realize that all the things that men deal with isn't necessarily like that easy. Like, if you want to be successful, if you want to be like this strong, independent woman, you're going to have to deal with all the things that come with it, like the mental aspects of it, the physical aspects that it plays on your body. And that's something that men have been dealing with for years. And now
it's a beginning.
It's becoming a problem for some successful women, because it's just like, oh, it's too much. But like we talked about it before, where as a man, nobody's going to care about you. Like, you could be,
no one gives a shit.
You could be on the streets like starving, and people will literally step over you to get to whatever they want. But for a woman, like, a lot of people show compassion towards women because they're like, oh my goodness, like these women need help and this and that. And equality comes at a cost for them. Like, because if we get into equality, then it's like, okay, women who are trying to do all these things as a man, or just equally to men, you have to deal with the same problems we deal with. And there's no sympathy. Like, there's literally no sympathy when it comes to being successful. You're either successful or you're not. You deal with the struggles of like putting your relationship goals, your family goals to the side, until you get to a point where you can be like, okay, I'm successful, I can do these things. But as a man, like, even at 40, like 40, you can still talk to a chick who's like 27, 28,
Yeah.
start a family, have kids, things like that, and that's perfectly fine. But like as a woman, the older that they get, like once they start hitting the 40s and older than that, then like a lot of men aren't really looking to
No.
start a family and kind of just like settle down and things like that. Because like one, they're going to deal with younger men. A lot of younger men are still dealing with finding themselves, their own individualities and things like that, exploring their career paths, trying to like find their place in the world. And that's the thing, is like a majority of women aren't looking for some man who hasn't figured out his life. They're not trying to build up a man,
They're not.
it's
No.
a double standard where it's like, okay, I want a man who's going to be successful, but you don't want to put in the time to build a man up to something successful. When in the reverse role, men do it all the time, where it's like, okay, I see a female I like, she's not really doing what she needs to be doing, and you'll push her in a direction that will build her up. But sometimes you find the case where you build a woman up and then she's like, well, what do I need you for? And then they go and they're like, oh, I've reached this status where I can kind of have anybody I want. But it's a ticking time bomb at the situation, because it's easier for women to have sex, but it's truthfully men choose who they want to be in a relationship with.
Yeah,
and it's not always about sex. So that's the thing, is like women can give up the box all they want, but at some point men aren't looking for the box. Like it's just
there's only some. It gets so a lot of things that I notice, especially with super successful men, because you got to imagine the Drakes of the world, the CEOs making millions of dollars. They literally have models, supermodels, like the baddest women that you can dream on every continent at their fingertips every day. So it gets to a point where it's like, I've seen it, I've done it.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you bringing to the table? Like, what can you do for me that I haven't experienced 1,000, 10,000 times over? Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's especially as you get older.
Like that's the thing, is like successful men aren't like, they've had it all. Like, so it's like, so I take myself for example, like I can buy myself whatever I want, I can have whatever I want, I can just go and travel if I want. And it's one of those things where it's like you get to a point where you understand that at the end of the day, whatever you want as a man, you have to go get it, because you can't depend on anybody. And that's how men grow up, is like, nobody's going to give you a car, nobody's going to give you a house. And that was one of those things too, is like a man will buy a woman a house, but who's going to buy a man a house? And even if women are doing this, it's not a vast majority of women who are doing this for men. It's a small percentage.
It's exception into the rule. Yeah,
exactly. Just like there's a small percentage of successful men, like you said, about 10%. We could run the numbers and get like an actual number, but I doubt it's over like 15, 20%.
It's nowhere.
Most, like, and that's stretching. Like it's somewhere probably in between 10 to 15%, and that's just being generous. And we're talking about men who are potentially making, because $80,000 in this day and age is not really even that much, to be honest. Like, especially if you're trying to cater to a woman who just being in a relationship in general costs money. So if you're allocating money to a house, car, potentially have a business or anything like that, like that's already a big chunk of your paycheck. And then on top of that, like you add a woman in there and then potentially kids, and that's like a lot more of your paycheck. So truthfully, there's not a lot of money to play with for just normal men. And that's the thing, is like women are looking for men who are already successful, but like a lot of these successful men are like, why would I, like, they're essentially like, why would I shop down? Like,
exactly. Why would I shop down? Or can literally fly some model out from, I don't know, Yugoslavia or whatever.
Yeah, who's making
Brazil,
like millions of dollars, like even hundreds of thousands of dollars, but she still makes her own money. She still has her own house. She doesn't put all these like demands on you and like, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that. Because to a certain extent, successful women understand that no man is going to take care of them. And if they do have a man in their life, it's not to support them. It's essentially to be a
Hmm.
partner. It's be to grow and build on things. And that's why a lot of these successful relationships turn into like, well, I guess we talk about Jay-Z and Beyonce, like they both have their own money, like when it comes to like what they bring to the table. So it's like, even if they did get a divorce, even if they did decide like, okay, we're not going to pay each other, they still have their own things that they're doing. It's never been like, I'm supporting you, you're supporting me. Like, think about any successful relationship in with like people who are popular on social media or anything like that. It's usually two people who are doing their own things, doing their own careers, and they make time for each other, and they make the sacrifices that need to be made, whether it be time, whether it be affection, or whatever they're sacrificing in that time to get to the higher goal, so that once they get to that higher goal, regardless if they're with that person or not, they can still live the same lifestyle that they want to live and not
Yeah.
settle ever. Like, that's what it comes down to, is not settling.
Yeah, that's definitely one heavy, I think, cornerstone in life that men and women have to understand is not settling. But I think one of the aspects of life to prevent yourself from settling is putting in the work, right? So that means skipping out on the parties, being called a square or a lame, doing the work, learning that trade, getting that degree, working on your business, and working on and pretty much working when you're in your 20s and your early 30s. So by the time you're, your mid 30s, 40s, like you're successful.
Yeah, and that's the
You
thing with
know,
men, is like we can work till we're 40 years old and then still live our best lives. I mean, a lot of women
exactly.
after 40, like they're literally running into problems where it's like, okay, like the pool of men are harder to choose, because okay, you're at 40, you've been working your whole life, you're successful, things like this. You're talking about, oh, I'm not settling for this and that. But the men that you're
Hmm.
looking for don't
You're
necessarily
not.
want you. Yeah, they're not
Yeah, they're
looking for
not checking
somebody
for
like
you.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because it's like, when it really comes down to it, like men want somebody who's going to support them and what they're doing. And even though that sounds a little selfish, if you sacrifice for a man, he will sacrifice for you, period. Like, especially when it comes to like pushing his goals, pushing his ambitions. If you want him to be the breadwinner, the dude who's buying you cars, the dude who's making sure you have a roof over your head and doing all these things, like, but when you come through with the like, oh, I can take care of this myself, I can do this and that, it's like, okay, then, like, so why do I need to worry about you if that's how you feel? And then it's like, oh, well, I still want to be dominant, but I also want you to like show me, like, I want you to show me the same respect that you would show your boys, and I want this and that. And it's just
You
kind of
can't do
like,
it. Doesn't work like that. The
it
dynamic
doesn't.
doesn't work like that.
No, that's, it's like, bro, like, if I wanted that, I just married my boy. Like, it's like, bro, like, why do I want the same? I don't want my same character traits being projected on me. And maybe that's just be my personal views. Like, some men want a woman who's more dominant in their life and things like that. But I mean, most of the time, men just want a woman to challenge them and push him to be greater. So I don't know, man. It's a
Yeah.
hard.
No, I think I agree with that. Like, we don't want we don't want to compete with our woman. Pretty much, we don't want masculine energy competing with us,
Yeah,
trying to be dominant, because naturally we're supposed to be the leaders of the household or whatever. And
and that's
I
not like,
think,
that's like programmed. And like, that's
yeah, it's just programs, like hard coded in like the way that we behave as humans. But I guess society has, for lack of a better term, tried to change that. But from what I see, it's not really working that well.
no, not
But
at
that's just
all.
my opinion.
Uh,
But
I mean, it's really not working, because think about like most modern day relationships now. Like, a lot of relationships are just failing. A lot of people aren't trying. Like, nobody's trying to understand each other, things like that. Social media has definitely like raised the standard for uh, a lot of what people expect from their partners. Like, oh, well, I see this dude. He's got a Lamborghini. He's got a Mercedes. He's doing this. He's making six figures. This, and that. And it's like, okay, I get that. Like, that's cool and all, but like in order to make those six figures, what did he sacrifice? How many years did he
Exactly.
sacrifice where he was alone, where nobody was in his life, where that's the thing is like,
Yeah, you know how many of these dudes on, and I mean, as bad as social media can be, it's also great too. You know how many of these comedians are literally broke? Like, you
oh
know, Haha Davis,
yeah,
like he was working at KFC.
yeah,
Now he has like deals in movies and commercials and everything. That one dude who does like voiceovers of the cartoons, I can't believe I forgot his name. Um, you know what I'm talking about. Is that funny stuff with Spider-Man or whatever? We'll put his name up.
yeah,
But he's on Facebook too. Like this dude was living like sleeping on a mattress
yeah,
in a one bedroom apartment, and now these dudes are making money.
yeah.
But how many years did it take for them to get that?
Yeah, and
To
now
get
look
there.
at them; they can get whatever they want. Like,
Yeah,
and
like it's not.
the
Yeah,
thing is, they had to like focus on what they actually wanted, and that's what it takes. Like, sometimes like trying to focus on somebody else can be a major distraction to your success. And I don't know, man. Like, it's one of them things.
I, and then as you mentioned, the whole Instagram thing is like half of these guys are capping on there. They don't
Oh
have it
yeah,
like
facts.
that. They're selling you a pipe dream. But it's just, I think people, one of the bad sides of social media is that they have this kind of accelerated form of the American dream where it's like, oh, look at me, I'm driving this, I'm wearing this, I'm going to X
Right.
place.
You could
But it's
literally
like
fake it.
but you never get there because one, they probably have connections, two, they're probably capping, and three, a lot of them, they went years without friends and family putting them down, working hard as hell to get where they're at. And it's like a lot of people are not willing to put in the work and have that discipline. So yeah, it's just one of those things.
But we'll probably just wrap it up there and tell us what you guys think. Are we wrong? Are we right? Are we in the right direction? Are we in the ballpark? Like, your feedback goes a long ways with helping us because we're trying to understand too. Like this,
Yeah, for sure.
like I feel like there's a problem with modern society as far as relationship goes, and it's mainly the Western world. It feels like because it's a lot different overseas, like, and that's where
Yeah,
we're seeing the
so
things from overseas, and just like on the outside looking in, like things are not looking good, especially with the way social media is set up, because it's like everybody doesn't want to be there with you through the grind, but they want to be there once you hit that success level. But it's like, where
yeah.
were you at when I was grinding, when I was doing like endless nights of just like going to the gym and working on my craft and things like this, and I wasn't nobody. And then all of a sudden I pull up in a Mercedes and I can afford to go out and to dinner whenever I want to, and all these things that just make you successful. And now it's like, oh hey, what's up, what's up, what's up, sacrifice this for me, give this for me, give this to me. And it's like, it's always like gimme, 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 gimme. It's never like, okay, I got my own stuff too. Like, what you trying to do? Like, we could start a business. I'll go 50-50 with you. And that's the biggest thing is like, if a lot of people want these relationships to work and to be successful, it's literally like a 50-50. Like, if you look at your partner like a business partner, even though, I mean, it's not necessarily a business partner, but it's somebody that you can trust, somebody that you can go into business with. And even if the relationship goes south, you have to still realize that, okay, we have a business, we started something, and you need to finish it. Like, people will give up on their whole, they'll be this close to reaching success, and then one thing will happen and they'll be like, oh well, we're just done. Like, I just, all that hard work, all this time I put into it, like nobody wants to sacrifice anymore. So
But that's it for this podcast, guys. It's your boy Pop, your boy Willie Man. And if you got this far on this podcast, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe if you want to. It's free, but it helps us go a long way in making this channel great. And with that being said, guys, I'll see you in the next one.
later.
Peace out.